Okay, so this is a quick video on something that is a major issue right now, victory by Ukraine, given this offensive that they've had. And also just the entire war, there's been this thinking that Ukraine can somehow win. This is impossible. Ukraine cannot win this war. And moreover, everyone knows this, and they're acting accordingly. They've been acting accordingly the entire time. Look at their actions, not what they say. First of all, why is it impossible? So victory for Ukraine, you have to define. Victory for Ukraine would be returning Crimea to Ukrainian control. Nothing else matters. Victory for Russia would be retaining Crimea or strengthening Crimea's control by Russia, which was basically the land bridge to Crimea through Mariupol. So why is it impossible for Ukraine to regain control over Crimea? Well, first of all, if Ukraine were able to send troops to defeat all the Russian troops on the mainland, and then somehow start sending troops to Crimea across the strait and boats, whatever, and Crimea was about to fall, Sevastopol was besieged, and the Russians surrendered, right? What would Russia do if all of Crimea was somehow taken by the Ukrainians? Russia would go nuclear. Why is this? Because Crimea is seen legally as part of Russia, and an attack on Crimea is seen as an attack on Russia proper, which Russia would respond to if it were seriously a threat with nuclear weapons. If not nuclear weapons, it would send a very large army to restore control over Crimea. So no matter how much Ukraine gains in Kharkiv region or around Kherson, in Zaporozhye, whatever, it cannot get control over Crimea. Now, why is this so important to get control of Crimea? Could Ukraine live without Crimea? No, because if Crimea is in Russian control and there's a land bridge to Crimea, Ukraine is cut off from the vast majority of its Black Sea coast. So imagine the United States losing the entire coastline of the East Coast and only having the West Coast. That's roughly a similar thought. That would be a defeat for the United States, of course, if we lost our entire East Coast and only the West Coast. So that is why Ukraine will lose this war, because it cannot get the land back without starting a nuclear war that, of course, they would lose. Well, everybody would lose, but Ukraine would lose. First of all, because Russia would just nuke whatever army there was about to take Crimea and probably the capital and destroy the entire country. So all this back and forth and these victories and this land and these websites and I mean these YouTube videos, it's all pointless because it doesn't matter, because it cannot end in a Ukrainian victory. Moreover, every time the Ukrainians and the Russians fight, the Russians cause more Ukrainian casualties than the Russians suffer, pretty much. These are Ukrainian sources admitting this. The kill ratio is 3 to 1, 5 to 1, 10 to 1, who knows? But Ukraine has fewer artillery shells and fewer aircraft, less technology than the Russians, and so every time they fight, Ukrainians are not able to inflict more casualties than the Russians inflict on them. So every time they fight, they're losing, even in conventional fighting without nuclear weapons. So from a nuclear war standard, of course they lose, but also from a conventional war, the Ukrainians cannot win long-term against Russia. So they know this. Ukraine knows this. Russia knows this. Yeah, I think even America, UK, everyone knows this. Why? What's the proof? The proof is that Russia knows it's going to win, so they don't care about these little battles. They don't care how much land they lose. They don't care if they have to withdraw from some cities temporarily, because they know that next year they can just walk back in, and they don't care. And also they don't want to lose a lot of guys, because since you're going to win anyways, why would you lose guys? It's like imagine a football team, ahead by like 60 points, and they take their quarterback out and they put in some third string guy. They take all their first string guys out and they put in a bunch of second string guys. And then, they lose a couple touchdowns, but hey, they're ahead by 60 points, so who cares? That's basically what we got here, is that Russia knows it's winning and knows it's going to win eventually. So they're like, well, why should we lose a bunch of guys? Why should we do mobilization? Why should we care? Spend a bunch of money, because in the end, we're going to win. And Ukraine's going to lose. Ukraine also knows this, and what's the proof in that? Because everything they do is short term. They're not thinking long term. They're not planning on how to rebuild their industry. They're not planning on how to make an army that can defeat Russia. What they're doing is short term attacks that look good, very good, in the newspapers, and get them more money from the West, which is all they care about. Getting a little bit more money so they can make payouts to their friends and stay in power a little bit longer. But they know in the end they're going to lose. The way they send their troops out on these attacks, it's basically suicidal. Again, you're losing 3 guys for every 1 you kill. And that may make sense, like if you're the Viet Cong fighting the US, because the US can withdraw. Russia can't withdraw. Like I said, Russia cannot withdraw from Crimea because Crimea is part of Russia. So again, this war cannot be won by Ukraine, and it cannot be lost by Russia. We can all lose it. We can all suffer if there's a nuclear war, and we can all lose our money because we're giving all this money to Ukraine. But that is the basic reality of the situation. I think even the United States understands this. And again, it's just a short term, maybe get to the midterms and saying, well, we fought for Ukraine, it looks good, back home. Of course, you get all the military industrial complex stuff. But I think long-term America also knows that this war can't be won, that this is a temporary way of just annoying Russia until they find some other country that they can use to attack Russia. But this is a very fundamental idea, and all this panic-stricken talk by the Russians and confidence by the Ukrainians is totally misplaced. So this is a quick little video just explaining again why Ukraine cannot win this war and Russia cannot lose, and that both sides are aware of this, and that we should all be aware of this, even those of us who are not in the Russian and Ukrainian general staff. Thank you.